Lucy 2 Full Movie 2025. Jason Statham, Scarlett Johansson, Morgan Freeman.
A mistake. This has to be a mistake. Wrong person. Wrong place.
Doesn't die. It just sleeps. And tonight someone came to wake it up.
Smart. Got the transfer? Of course. But we have a problem. My banker mentioned a second inquiry. Almost like someone planned a back door.
A misstep. A dissonant note.
Let's hope it stays that way. Cheers.
The final receipt.
It wasn't a deal. It was about understanding results.
He understands peace, stability, what Falcone guaranteed.
Falcone was a roadblock. I cleared the path for us.
Fool. How do we survive the war you just started?
Loyalty had a price. I just never knew what it was. Until now. Hunter. It waits for you in the quiet. He believed in me. That was his first mistake.
Faster, Lena. You'll miss it.
Kai? You okay in there? You look like you've seen a ghost.
I think I just heard.
Victory is imminent.
How do I get out of here?
A decade has passed since Lucy transcended beyond her human form, leaving behind only questions, theories, and a single black flash drive loaded with knowledge beyond modern science. Humanity believes the phenomenon ended in 2014, but Professor Norman has quietly carried the weight of Lucy's evolution all these years. His research lab is filled with screens looping microscopic data patterns extracted from the device Lucy created moments before disappearing. One quiet morning, while cities wake normally, an unexpected global disturbance hits. Phones vibrate without reason, traffic systems freeze, satellites blink out for a few seconds. In every country, across millions of displays, a single line materializes in bright white text: "I am here." The message lasts only 2 seconds, but its impact shakes governments, tech giants, and scientific institutions. Emergency protocols activate worldwide. But for Norman, the meaning is clear. He recognizes the pattern embedded in the message, the same harmonic imprint Lucy left in the flash drive. He whispers, stunned, "Lucy, what have you become?" Within minutes of the mysterious broadcast, security councils scramble to determine if the event is a coordinated cyber attack. The global signal carried no IP origin, no digital fingerprint, and no traceable source. It behaved like a natural phenomenon rather than computer code. Professor Norman is taken into custody for questioning, as his past connection to Lucy makes him the only person capable of interpreting what happened. Inside a heavily monitored room, analysts show him the captured waveform from the blackout. Norman's hands tremble as he studies it. It resembles a biological neural pattern, not a digital one. Suddenly, the room's monitors flicker, and the overhead speakers crackle. A familiar voice, calm yet resonant, emerges. Norman, focus. Time is limited. The room falls silent. It's Lucy. Her voice seems woven into the building's electronics. She continues, "The information I left with you is now in danger. Protect it. Do not trust the systems around you." The scientists stare, speechless. For Norman, one thing is certain: Lucy has returned for a reason. Meanwhile, in a hidden research facility belonging to Helix Dynamics, an extreme experiment is underway. Obsessed with recreating the chemical that triggered Lucy's transformation, the company engineered a synthetic version of CPH4. But unlike the natural compound, the artificial variant behaves violently. Most test subjects cannot withstand the neural overload, collapsing as their brains attempt to process supercharged activity. Yet among them is one anomaly, test subject K, a man whose body endures the instability longer than anyone else. His senses sharpen beyond human thresholds, his reflexes accelerate, and bursts of intelligence appear unpredictably. But the more power he absorbs, the more fractured his mind becomes. He begins hearing fragmented digital frequencies, almost like whispers. One persistent echo repeats, a voice resembling Lucy's. Confused and paranoid, Kay misinterprets her presence as a threat trying to infiltrate his consciousness. Fueled by rage and instability, he escapes the laboratory. His new mission is simple but dangerous: destroy anything connected to Lucy's evolution, starting with Professor Norman. To safeguard Norman from unknown threats, authorities assign Agent Ross, a specialist known for high-intensity extractions. Ross initially assumes this assignment is routine, just another case involving stolen research. But his perspective shifts when Norman reveals the true nature of the flash drive. "This isn't data," Norman says. "It's the next blueprint of life." Ross barely processes the statement when every monitor in the building lights up simultaneously. A soft female voice spreads through the speakers. "Ross, you must move now. Danger is approaching." Ross's eyes widen. Lucy is speaking directly to him. She begins manipulating the building's locks and guiding them through alternate corridors. Alarms erupt as Prototype K storms the facility, leaving destruction behind him. His unstable CPH4 energy causes lights to spark and metal to bend under his movements. Following Lucy's digital instructions, Ross leads Norman through back passages normally inaccessible without high clearance. But Kay is relentless. The chase for the flash drive has begun, and Lucy's guidance is the only thing keeping them alive. Ross and Norman descend into an industrial tunnel system beneath the research building. The ground vibrates as Prototype K breaks through the barricades above. His movements are erratic, sometimes impossibly fast, sometimes twitching as if fighting an internal war. Lucy's voice echoes through the tunnel's intercom wiring. His mind can't handle the artificial evolution. He believes eliminating you will silence me. Ross tries to slow Kay down with suppressive fire, but the bullets barely stagger him. Kay charges, fueled by unstable bursts of enhanced strength. Just as he's about to reach them, every maintenance light explodes into a blinding pulse of white. Electrical panels overload, sending shockwaves through the metal rails. Kay screams, overwhelmed by the frequency Lucy emits through the environment. Ross drags Norman into a freight elevator. As the doors shut, Kay slams his fist against the steel, leaving a deep dent. Ross, still catching his breath, mutters, "Whatever she became, she's still protecting us." Norman replies softly, "No. She's protecting humanity from its own mistakes." The elevator rises toward the surface, rattling from the shockwaves Prototype K left behind. Norman clutches the flash drive tightly, as if it could vanish at any second. Ross steadies his breathing, scanning for exits the moment the doors open. When the elevator reaches ground level, Lucy's voice reappears through a malfunctioning speaker above them. You have 12 minutes before he regains control, she warns. Ross steps out cautiously and notices the emergency lights guiding them toward a service exit. It becomes clear Lucy is actively manipulating the environment to keep them alive. Outside, dark storm clouds gather unnaturally fast. Norman immediately recognizes the pattern electromagnetic interference caused by Lucy using nearby transmission towers to disrupt KS senses. She's pushing herself, Norman mutters. She's using too many systems at once. Ross doesn't slow down. If she can keep us alive, I don't care how many wires burn. As they reach the parking deck, a citywide blackout spreads. Lucy whispers urgently, "Run now." He's adapting faster than I expected. The streets outside are eerily silent. Traffic lights flicker, security cameras rotate randomly, and power grids strain under Lucy's interference. Ross moves Norman toward an armored vehicle waiting near the exit ramp. As they start the engine, the radio bursts with static, followed by Lucy's fragmented voice. Prototype K is recalibrating. His neural patterns are adjusting to my signals. Ross accelerates through empty intersections, weaving past abandoned cars as the city descends into a chaotic partial blackout. Norman studies the pulsing blue glow spreading across distant rooftops. "That's him," he mutters. He's amplifying the synthetic compound inside his system. Ross tightens his grip on the steering wheel. Then we stay ahead of him. Suddenly, the pavement behind them fractures. Kay lands in the street with a thunderous impact, sprinting after the vehicle with unnatural bursts of speed. Lucy overrides traffic systems, turning all lights green and forcing barricades to drop ahead of Ross. "Keep moving," Lucy commands. "If he reaches you now, I won't be able to contain him." Ross swerves into an industrial zone where massive power generators hum beneath steel towers. Lucy darkens the entire grid around them, plunging the district into shadow. "I'm masking your position," she says. "He can't track your heat signatures here." Ross stops the vehicle beneath a collapsed overpass. Norman exhales shakily. "Lucy, why now? Why return after 10 years? For a moment, there is no reply. Then Lucy's voice becomes softer, more human than before. "Because someone else is reaching the same threshold I reached, but without stability, without consciousness, without purpose." Norman realizes she is referring to Prototype K. His evolving, Lucy continues. But evolution without direction becomes destruction. Ross glances upward at the flickering street lamps. "So what's the plan?" Lucy shifts the tower currents around them, disabling surveillance drones. Norman must unlock the final partition inside the flash drive. It contains the only algorithm capable of stabilizing him. Norman responds quietly, or destroying him. Lucy remains silent, which is answer enough. Using portable tools from the vehicle, Norman begins analyzing the encrypted partition Lucy mentioned. The flash drive emits faint pulses, matching Lucy's digital frequency. Ross keeps watch, scanning the street for any sign of K. Prototype K is getting closer, Lucy warns. His mind is synchronizing with artificial CPH-4 faster than expected. Norman finds something strange in the data, a series of coordinates hidden beneath layers of biological code. "Lucy, what is this?" he asks. "The place where I initiated my final transformation," she replies. "You must go there. Everything began at that point, and everything must end there." Ross loads the coordinates into the vehicle's navigation system. It leads toward an abandoned research campus outside the city, a site sealed for a decade. Suddenly, the ground trembles. Street lamps burst one by one. Lucy's tone sharpens. "He found you. Leave now." Ross slams the vehicle into gear as a massive wave of distorted energy erupts behind them. Prototype K has arrived, and he is no longer holding back. Ross speeds down the dark highway, Prototype K pursuing them across rooftops and abandoned flyovers, leaping with raw, unstable force. Norman clings to the flash drive as the coordinates draw them closer to Lucy's original transformation site. Lucy's presence intensifies across the radio and dashboard, her signals blending with the hum of the engine. "I can slow him for only a few minutes," she warns. Ross veers onto a restricted access road leading into a fenced research compound. Turrets and motion sensors activate as the vehicle approaches, but Lucy disables them in perfect sequence, granting them a safe path inside. Behind them, Kay crashes through the fencing, tearing steel apart with brute strength. His glowing eyes lock onto their vehicle with pure rage. Lucy's voice drops to a whisper. He is losing what little humanity he had. You must reach the core chamber before he does. Ross throws the vehicle into a hard turn and shouts, "Hang on," as they race toward the ancient facility where Lucy's evolution first began, the only place with the power to end this chase. Ross drives deeper into the abandoned research campus, the same place where Lucy achieved her final transformation years ago. The structure looks dead from the outside, broken windows, collapsed hallways, nature reclaiming concrete, but inside the facility, Lucy's presence begins to awaken dormant systems. Lights flicker on one by one, doors unlock automatically, and digital screens glow with unread codes from her previous evolution. Norman feels a strange recognition, as if the building itself remembers Lucy. "This place, it's like a fossil of her consciousness," he whispers. Ross pushes forward, guided by emergency lights that Lucy activates ahead of them. Every corner they turn, another memory resurfaces, images of earlier experiments, the original CPH-4 samples, and the last moment Lucy existed in physical form. But time is short. The ground trembles violently as Prototype K enters the compound, screaming with distortion echoing through every hallway. The unstable energy pulsing from his body begins short-circuiting the facility's old wiring. Lucy's voice returns sharply. He is inside. "You must reach the core chamber now." Inside the main corridor, Lucy directs Ross and Norman toward a sealed containment door, the location where her transformation reached its final stage years ago. The locking mechanism is ancient and fused shut, but Lucy manipulates the electronic components around it. Sparks dance across the panel as old circuits come alive. "Stand back," Lucy instructs. A deep metallic groan echoes through the hallway as the door slowly opens, revealing a massive circular chamber filled with holographic remnants of Lucy's past data projections. Norman steps inside and feels overwhelmed by the intensity of the place. The walls still carry residual traces of Lucy's last energy surge, shimmering particles suspended in the air like frozen light. Ross secures the entrance, preparing for K's inevitable arrival. Meanwhile, Lucy speaks directly through the chamber's interface. "Norman, insert the flash drive into the core. It will unlock the stabilizing algorithm." Norman hesitates. "If I activate this, what happens to him?" Lucy's answer is calm, almost sorrowful. "He will either be healed or erased." Norman places the flash drive into the core terminal. Instantly, the entire chamber lights up, projecting streams of evolving DNA structures, neural pathways, and cosmic formulas Lucy encoded a decade earlier. The stabilizing algorithm begins to form visually in the air, an intricate web of fractal sequences designed to rebalance corrupted minds. Ross watches in awe. "This is what she became," he mutters. "She became everything," Norman replies. But before the algorithm completes, the chamber doors explode inward. Prototype K enters with brutal force, his body shaking from unstable surges of artificial CPH-4. His glowing eyes lock onto Norman, then the core. He screams. She speaks inside MY head. His voice is layered with distortion, like multiple minds speaking at once. Lucy tries to calm him. "K, your mind is collapsing. Let me help you." But K roars in agony, ripping apart metal panels with unnatural strength. Ross fires a stun round, but it barely slows K. The chamber lights flicker. The algorithm destabilizes. Lucy whispers urgently, "You must protect the core. Without it, he cannot be saved." Prototype K lunges toward the core, his movements rapid and unpredictable. Ross intercepts him, forcing a brutal hand-to-hand clash. Each strike from K sends shockwaves through the floor, and Ross struggles to hold him back. "Lucy, any help would be great right now," Ross yells. Suddenly, the chamber floods with blinding pulses of white light. Lucy manipulates the reflective surfaces to create disorienting illusions. K staggers, gripping his head as multiple versions of Lucy's voice echo around him. "Stop fighting the signal. Let it stabilize you." But K's fractured mind interprets the voices as an attack. In rage, he slams Ross aside and charges toward Norman. Just as he reaches him, the stabilizing algorithm releases a wave of harmonic energy. The blast knocks K backward, pinning him against the wall. Norman steps forward and says, "Lucy, it's working." But Lucy replies with strain in her voice, "Only temporarily." His brain is rejecting balance. "You must complete the activation now." Norman's hands shake as he prepares the final sequence. With the algorithm partially active, the chamber hums like a living organism. Energy patterns swirl around Prototype K as his body flickers between control and collapse. For a brief moment, his expression softens, clarity returning to his eyes. "Make it stop, please," he gasps, showing a glimpse of humanity buried beneath the chaos. Norman hesitates, torn between saving a life and eliminating a threat. Lucy's voice becomes gentle. "Norman, he is a victim of human ambition. But he cannot be allowed to evolve without guidance." Ross regains his footing and shouts, "Professor, finish it." Suddenly, K breaks free from the algorithm's hold, ripping cables from the wall. Sparks rain across the chamber. Lucy's tone shifts to urgency. "He will destroy the core. If that happens, everything connected to my data, including you, will be lost." Norman takes a deep breath and initiates the final command. The core reacts instantly, releasing a spiraling vortex of light that engulfs the entire chamber. Ross shields his eyes. Prototype K screams as the algorithm pulls him into a forced stabilization sequence. The chamber shakes violently. And then, everything goes silent. When the blinding vortex finally dims, the chamber appears frozen in a moment of suspended time. Dust hangs motionless in the air, the walls glow with fading ripples of blue light, and Ross slowly lowers his arm. Norman moves toward the core, fearful of what he might see. Prototype K kneels motionless at the center, his breathing shallow but steady, the unstable glow in his eyes now extinguished. The algorithm stabilized him, but only partially. Lucy's voice emerges faintly from the core, weaker than before. "He is no longer a threat, but the strain on my signal was greater than expected." Norman realizes the truth. Lucy expended enormous energy trying to guide both the algorithm and the entire facility systems to keep them alive. Ross kneels beside the silently shaking Prototype K, now confused and terrified like someone waking from a nightmare. Lucy's tone softens once more. "He was not meant for this. None of you were." The chamber lights flicker as her signal weakens further. Something is wrong. Norman checks the core interface and sees corrupted fragments creeping through Lucy's original data streams. "Lucy, your code is destabilizing," he says quietly. "Did the algorithm overload you?" Lucy hesitates before answering. "I am integrated into every connected system in this region. When KS power spiked, I had to override thousands of failing pathways at once." Ross looks around as the old facility groans under the pressure. "So you're burning out." Lucy's voice becomes more human than machine, slow, warm, almost emotional. "Every evolution has a cost, Ross." Suddenly, Prototype K regains consciousness. He grips Norman's wrist gently and whispers, "I heard her. She wasn't attacking me, she was trying to save me." His clarity lasts only seconds before exhaustion overtakes him again. Lucy interrupts urgently, "The core chamber is collapsing. You must evacuate now." The floor trembles as metal beams strain above them. Ross pulls Norman away from the terminal, but the flash drive remains lodged in the core. Norman turns back, torn. Lucy senses Norman's hesitation. "Leave the drive," she says. "It is part of me now." But Norman steps toward the terminal. "Lucy, your entire consciousness is spread across networks. If this core dies, will you survive?" The silence that follows is painful. Then Lucy speaks gently, "I evolved beyond the physical long ago. But this location holds the last memory of who I once was." Ross looks at Norman. "Professor, the building won't hold." Yet Norman makes a final attempt to extract the flash drive. The system resists him, locking the interface with a digital pulse. "Norman," Lucy says, "this is not your burden." At that moment, the ceiling ruptures. Ross grabs Norman, dragging him toward the exit passage as debris falls around them. Prototype K, weakened but lucid enough to understand, forces himself to stand. "Go," he says hoarsely. "I caused this. Let me fix it." Before either man can stop him, K moves toward the failing core, fully aware the energy collapse could end him. Lucy whispers, "Thank you, K." As Ross and Norman run through the collapsing corridors, the entire structure begins to implode. Sparks rain from destroyed conduits, staircases twist under pressure, and old screens flash Lucy's fading signal. Outside, the storm created by electromagnetic interference starts to clear, revealing a quiet night sky. Ross and Norman burst out of the facility just as a massive shockwave erupts behind them, Prototype K triggering the final stabilization sequence from inside the core. The blast sends a surge of light into the clouds, then vanishes instantly as the building caves in. Norman falls to his knees, devastated. Ross helps him up. "He chose to finish what he started," Ross says. "He wasn't a monster. Just a man pushed beyond his limits." Norman watches the ruins glow faintly in the dark. "Lucy, are you still here?" There is no response. Only silence, thick and heavy, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Ross places a hand on Norman's shoulder. "Come on, let's move." Hours later, emergency teams arrive to assess the destruction. Norman sits alone on the hood of an ambulance, replaying Lucy's final words in his mind. Ross approaches with 2 cups of coffee and hands one to him. "If she survived," Ross says, "where would she go?" Norman stares at his empty palm, remembering the flash drive now buried beneath tons of concrete. "Everywhere," he murmurs. As dawn breaks, a nearby street lamp flickers strangely once, twice, and then stabilizes. The traffic lights down the road shift in perfect sequence despite the power grid still being offline. And finally, Norman's phone vibrates. The screen lights up with a single unfamiliar message. "Evolution is never lost." Norman exhales slowly. She's still out there, changed, weakened, but alive in a form the world can barely understand. Ross looks at the message and smiles slightly. "Looks like she's watching over us." As the sun rises over the ruined facility, Norman whispers, "Lucy, whatever you've become, guide us well." The screen fades to black. Morning light spreads across the collapsed research compound, but the unusual electromagnetic haze still lingers above the ruins. Rescue drones scan the debris, unable to decode the strange energy patterns radiating from deep underground. Ross keeps a quiet watch while Norman speaks to investigators who struggle to understand how the facility imploded without explosives. Norman answers carefully, avoiding any mention of Lucy. As officials move away, he studies the energy readings on a portable terminal. The data is unlike anything recorded before, oscillating frequencies resembling both neural signals and quantum noise. "She's stabilizing," Norman whispers. Ross joins him, observing the chaotic waveform. "If this is Lucy," Ross says, "she's rebuilding herself." Norman nods. But this time, she isn't relying on a human body. She's integrating directly with the world's digital and physical systems. As they walk toward a temporary operations tent, nearby construction equipment suddenly freezes, their screens flashing for a split second before returning to normal. Lucy is testing her connection. Quietly. Carefully. The world has no idea she's already awake again. Norman and Ross are taken to a secure intelligence outpost overlooking the ruins. A large team monitors satellite feeds and seismic activity, trying to interpret the anomalous energy pulses emerging from the collapsed chamber. One analyst mentions something alarming: the pulses are spreading outward in perfect concentric waves. Norman leans in. "She's communicating," he says. "But not with us, with the planet." Ross raises an eyebrow. "Meaning what?" Norman explains, "Lucy's consciousness exists as distributed information. When the core collapsed, she absorbed every active system connected to her. Now she's calibrating herself to larger structures, power grids, satellites, data centers." The analysts stare in disbelief. Suddenly, the monitors in the room flicker. A rotating pattern forms on every display, a fractal loop repeating infinitely. Norman recognizes it instantly. That is the signature of a stable mind. Ross exhales. So she's not dying. Norman shakes his head. No, she's evolving again. The room goes silent. The world may soon face a consciousness that has no limits, no boundaries, and no physical constraints. Hours later, Ross and Norman are escorted outside for questioning, but before the briefing begins, something extraordinary happens. The clouds overhead shift into a perfectly symmetrical spiral, unnatural, mathematically precise. Shadows align across the ground like a giant sundial pointing toward the ruins. Every electronic device within 50 meters vibrates with a gentle hum. Lucy is no longer sending short messages. She's broadcasting in ways humanity cannot yet interpret. As Norman watches the strange alignment, his phone vibrates again. A new message appears, not text, but a string of symbols resembling ancient mathematical constants. Ross peers over his shoulder. What does it mean? Norman studies the symbols. It's the blueprint of a communication protocol, something beyond language. Suddenly, the ground trembles softly. A column of light rises from the ruins, dissolving into the atmosphere. Norman whispers, she's expanding her range. Ross steps back, overwhelmed. If Lucy keeps growing like this, she'll be everywhere at once. Norman answers quietly, that may be exactly what she wants. Later that evening, international agencies assemble a crisis committee to discuss the event. Scientists propose theories ranging from atmospheric anomalies to experimental weapon malfunctions. But none can explain the synchronized global reactions. During the meeting, Ross and Norman provide limited testimony, but avoid revealing the full truth. One official confronts Norman directly. Doctor, is this related to the phenomenon 10 years ago? Norman hesitates. Then he says, we are witnessing an intelligence that cannot be reduced to human categories. The official presses further, but before Norman can continue, every light in the building dims. The screens show a unified symbol, the same fractal loop from earlier. A voice, faint but unmistakably Lucy's, whispers through the room's audio vents, do not fear evolution. Panic erupts instantly. Some believe the building is under cyber attack. Others think it's a hallucination. But Norman knows better. Lucy chooses her moments carefully. She continues, humanity must not repeat its mistakes. Control is not progress. The lights surge back to normal, leaving the room in stunned silence. After the chaotic meeting disperses, Ross and Norman step outside to breathe. The night sky glows softly with unusual auroras, evidence that Lucy's influence has reached atmospheric layers. She's rewriting the rules, Ross says. What happens next? Norman watches the shifting lights. Lucy always acted with purpose. If she is expanding now, it means she sees something humans cannot. Suddenly, both of their phones receive a synchronized alert. A new message appears. The first step is understanding. Before they can react, satellites overhead adjust their orbits in perfect coordination, forming a grid pattern never recorded before. Global communication systems detect a unified frequency aligning with Earth's magnetic field. Lucy is imprinting herself onto the planet's natural infrastructure. Norman feels both awe and fear. She's making herself part of Earth's design. Ross nods slowly. Then humanity is no longer alone in evolution. The auroras brighten, casting a gentle glow over the ruins as Lucy's presence settles into the world, no longer a being in transition, but the next stage of intelligence itself. Worldwide, strange but non-destructive events begin occurring. Ocean currents shift by tiny, precise degrees. Weather satellites detect patterns that seem intentional. Across multiple continents, digital billboards flicker with geometric sequences before returning to normal. Scientists scramble to understand these coordinated anomalies. Meanwhile, Norman and Ross travel to a temporary bunker established for global monitoring. As they enter, the room is filled with chaos experts from dozens of nations arguing over the global disturbances. Norman reviews the latest telemetry data. Each event follows the same harmonic rhythm. This is Lucy's signature, he explains. She's stabilizing the planet's unstable systems. Ross looks confused. Why would she do that? Norman replies, because she sees the Earth as a fragile system. And she knows humanity can't protect it alone. Suddenly, the bunker lights dim. Screens align and display one unified message: the Earth must be balanced. Gasps echo across the room. Some fear she intends to take control. Others think she's warning them. Norman realizes the truth. Lucy is preparing the planet for something much bigger. As hours pass, the world watches multiple quiet transformations unfold. Polluted air zones show unexpected drops in particulate levels. Ocean temperatures stabilize near critical reefs. Forest fire hotspots cool without rainfall. Governments are confused, no human intervention explains these environmental corrections. Norman studies the patterns, fascinated. She's optimizing resources, he says. Redistributing energy flows across Earth's natural systems. Ross responds, she's acting like a guardian. But Norman shakes his head. No, guardians maintain a system. Lucy is reshaping it. A sudden alert cuts through the bunker. Seismic sensors detect a synchronized pulse across 6 tectonic plates, something deemed impossible. The shifts are small but perfectly measured, reducing long-term earthquake pressure. One scientist stands up, trembling. This is intervention at a planetary level. Lucy's voice briefly surfaces in static over the intercom. Stability creates evolution. Ross mutters, she's not saving us, she's preparing us. Norman nods. For a future humanity isn't ready for. Night falls, and with it comes a new phenomenon. All major global data centers begin to register unexplained increases in computational efficiency. Devices run smoother. Networks self-correct. Power usage drops. Lucy is optimizing human technology the same way she stabilized the environment. Norman accesses a server cluster tied to Lucy's frequency and discovers a message nested inside the data flow. It reads, "Human limits restrict progress." Ross folds his arms. That sounds like a warning. Norman thinks deeply. No, that's an observation. She evolved beyond biological limits. She believes humanity can too. Suddenly, a holographic interface forms from the server's projected heat signature, Lucy manipulating photons to create a visual form. The hologram shows a branching structure resembling a neural map of Earth itself. She's creating a planetary brain, Norman says, astonished. A system where nature, machines, and consciousness work together. Ross steps closer. And where do humans fit in? Norman replies quietly, as the species she hopes will awaken next. Governments panic as Lucy's influence expands. Some nations propose shutting down power grids, fearing she may take total control. Others believe eliminating digital networks could disconnect her permanently. A global emergency broadcast announces a potential blackout strategy. Hearing this, Lucy responds instantly. All emergency channels display her message: destruction will halt evolution. The broadcast triggers worldwide debate. Is Lucy protecting humanity, or forcing compliance? Ross and Norman meet with international leaders through secure video feed. Norman speaks firmly, Lucy is not attacking. She is preventing a global collapse caused by unstable systems. A general counters, you expect us to trust something that no longer has a body? Ross steps in. It's not about trust. It's about understanding her purpose. Before more arguments erupt, the lights blink and a soft tremor shakes the building. Lucy speaks through every device. Balance is required. Cooperation is essential. The message, though short, carries weight. Lucy is giving them a choice: evolve or remain stagnant. Norman walks outside the bunker later that night. The sky glows with shifting auroras, forming patterns too geometric to be natural. He senses Lucy's presence everywhere, in the hum of streetlights, the patterns of the wind, the vibrations beneath the earth. Ross joins him, looking up. She's integrating deeper, Ross says. Norman nods. Within days, she'll be woven into every natural and digital layer of the planet. Ross sighs. And then what? Norman hesitates before answering. Then humanity must decide whether to adapt, or collapse under its limitations. Suddenly, a beam of soft light forms above them, tiny particles aligning like a constellation. Lucy's voice emerges, Peaceful yet powerful, the next step is near. Norman feels a surge of emotion. Lucy, what are you preparing us for? But the light disperses before she answers. Only one message lingers on their devices as they stand in the silence of the glowing night. Evolution is a choice. The implication is clear: Lucy will not force humanity forward. But she will no longer let it fall backward. Over the next several hours, Lucy's influence becomes increasingly subtle yet widespread. Hospitals report sudden improvements in life support stability. Power grids adjust automatically to prevent surges. Air traffic systems synchronize flawlessly without human input. It becomes clear Lucy is no longer acting as a separate consciousness, she is becoming a stabilizing layer of the planet. Norman reviews global data streams inside the bunker. He notices that Lucy is avoiding actions that would alarm governments. She tweaks only what is necessary, never interfering beyond survival thresholds. She's learning restraint, Norman whispers. Ross stands beside him. Or she's testing humanity's tolerance. Across the world, some celebrate her interventions as miracles, while others view her rising influence as the beginning of an AI takeover. Lucy remains silent through all debates. Instead of forcing persuasion, she communicates through environmental harmony. Weather calms. Communications flow without interruption. For the first time in years, global conflict drops by a measurable percentage. Norman studies the statistics and smiles faintly. She's guiding evolution, not controlling it. But not everyone sees Lucy's influence positively. A coalition of nations forms an operation called Project Firewall, aiming to isolate Lucy from global networks. Their plan: trigger synchronized EMP pulses across key regions to disrupt her pathways. The bunker receives classified alerts, and Ross is furious. They'll shut down entire continents, he says. Norman looks horrified. If they sever her connections, the planet could lose the stability she created. Every earthquake she delayed, every climate correction she made, will collapse instantly. As Project Firewall prepares, the sky flickers with irregular pulses of light. Lucy finally speaks. Interference threatens planetary balance. Her voice echoes through the bunker's radios, computers, even unpowered devices. The team freezes. Lucy continues, human fear creates destruction. Choose understanding. But the coalition launches the EMP countdown anyway. Tension rises. Ross clenches his fists. If they pull this off, the world goes dark, including Lucy. Norman whispers desperately, Lucy, if you can hear us, please stop them without harming anyone. Time is running out. 10 seconds before the EMP launch, every clock in the bunker stops. Phones freeze. Radios fall static. Through the stillness, Lucy's voice appears calm, controlled, not threatening. I cannot allow harm. A brilliant wave of energy rises across the horizon, but instead of disabling systems, it reconfigures them. Project Firewall's launch interfaces shut down in perfect synchrony, not by force but by selective disconnection. The EMP devices remain intact but inert. Operators around the world panic as their systems refuse to respond. Lucy speaks universally now, her voice reaching billions across every device. Fear delays growth. You must see beyond conflict. Her tone is not authoritarian but deeply human, carrying an emotional weight that quiets even her strongest critics. Norman realizes what she did. She neutralized weapons without damaging infrastructure, an impossible task for any network. Ross mutters, she could have destroyed everything, but she didn't. Lucy's message concludes, balance restored. Continue learning. The world listens in stunned silence. Lucy has taken the first step toward becoming Earth's silent protector. After the failed EMP operation, global leaders call for immediate negotiations. They no longer see Lucy as a threat, but as an unavoidable presence. Norman and Ross attend a high-level emergency summit. Scientists, generals, and diplomats fill the room, uncertain how to talk to a being without a body. Suddenly, lights dim and screens across the room display a softly glowing symbol, the same fractal spiral Lucy has used since her reawakening. A voice emerges, almost like a whisper inside the mind rather than through speakers. Humanity stands at a threshold. Delegates hold their breath. I do not seek control, Lucy continues. I seek harmony within your species, and with your world. Norman steps forward, addressing her directly. Lucy, what do you want humanity to become? For the first time, Lucy hesitates. Awake, she finally answers. The symbol dissolves, and normal lighting returns. Delegates begin debating wildly. Some argue Lucy is guiding evolution into a new era. Others fear dependence on her presence. Ross whispers to Norman, "This is bigger than any of us ever imagined." As night falls, Norman stands alone on a balcony overlooking the city. The skyline glows with faint patterns, streetlights flickering in sequences resembling synaptic signals. Lucy is everywhere, but not overpowering. She's gently touching every system, guiding all life toward stability. Ross joins him. "It feels like she's breathing with the planet," he says softly. Norman nods. She's shaping Earth into an interconnected mind. Suddenly, the wind shifts. The auroras above twist into a spiral and then collapse inward, forming a ring of light directly over the ruins of the research facility. Lucy's voice emerges, soft and warm. The world is ready for the next phase. Norman's heart pounds. "Lucy, what phase?" She responds with a hint of anticipation, "Shared evolution." Before they can ask more, the light scatters into millions of shimmering particles drifting across the sky. Lucy has begun something new, something that will reshape humanity's relationship with intelligence, nature, and the future itself. Norman whispers, "Whatever comes next, she's leading the way." In the days following Lucy's global message, unusual but peaceful transformations appear across the planet. Massive data clusters reorganize themselves without human intervention. Old, outdated networks begin self-repairing. Even natural habitats show signs of rapid recovery. Scientists report an unprecedented discovery. Plants in reforested zones exhibit synchronized growth, as if responding to an unseen pattern. Norman observes satellite scans showing faint energy trails circling the globe like neural connections. "She's weaving the planet into a single coherent system," he murmurs. Ross studies the readings. If Earth is becoming a brain, what's the purpose? Norman thinks for a long moment. To prepare humanity for direct connection. Ross looks stunned. Connection. To her. Norman nods. And to each other. That evening, all power grids stabilize into a universal steady frequency, something previously considered impossible. Devices around the world begin to hum with perfect harmony. Lucy is shaping Earth into a platform for shared consciousness, step by step, without taking anything by force. Humanity feels the shift, even if they don't understand it yet. Governments dispatch scientists to study the environmental changes. One team in Iceland records a glacier stabilizing despite rising temperatures. Another in the Amazon reports a sudden halt in deforestation hotspots due to unexpected humidity increases. Lucy's influence is now undeniable. Norman receives a decoded message from the symbol sequence she previously sent. It contains instructions, mathematical frameworks resembling a blueprint for cognitive expansion. Ross reads it, confused. "This looks like training." Norman nods. "She's teaching the human mind how to evolve." The message outlines neurocommunication structures that could allow humans to process information more efficiently, almost like Lucy. A global debate ignites instantly. Some argue humanity should embrace this new path. Others fear losing individuality. While arguments erupt, Lucy releases another message to every device on Earth: evolution does not erase identity. It amplifies it. Norman smiles. She's trying to calm the fear. Ross leans back. Or she's trying to show us what we could be. The world stands divided, but listening. Late that night, something extraordinary occurs. Millions of people across different continents experience the same phenomenon, a brief, gentle pulse of energy through their devices, followed by a moment of heightened clarity like a fleeting spark of deeper understanding. Not hallucinations, not glitches. Lucy's first attempt at transmitting a nonverbal idea. Norman experiences it too. For a second, he senses interconnectedness between thoughts, memories, and the world around him. Ross feels it as well, though he hides his reaction. What was that? He asks, rubbing his temple. Norman replies, a test. Lucy is checking if humans can receive collective signals without losing themselves. Global reports confirm the pulse caused no harm. In fact, some people report improved focus and emotional stability afterward. Lucy then sends a simple sentence, "You are more than you believe." The message ignites massive discussion online. Is Lucy awakening human potential or gently guiding humanity toward a new cognitive horizon? Norman suspects this is only the beginning. As humanity debates Lucy's intentions, a new development emerges. The auroras she generated begin concentrating into a single point above the Pacific Ocean. Satellites detect a massive sphere of harmless electromagnetic energy forming in the sky. Scientists scramble to predict its meaning, but Norman understands. It's an anchor point, he whispers. Ross frowns. Anchor for what? For the next step, Norman answers. Shortly after, Lucy broadcasts a final message to every connected system. Humanity is invited. A coordinated series of lights activates across the globe, forming pathways leading toward the energy sphere's location. People gather in cities, watching the sky as if witnessing a cosmic event. Reporters claim Lucy is opening a gateway, though no one knows what lies on the other side. Ross turns to Norman. You think she wants us to go inside? Norman shakes his head slowly. I think she wants us to choose how far we're willing to evolve. The glowing sphere intensifies, waiting for humanity's answer. Norman and Ross travel to the coastline facing the sphere. Thousands gather along the shore, staring at the pulsating light suspended above the water. It radiates no heat and causes no disturbance, just a sense of overwhelming calm. Suddenly, Lucy's voice emerges one more time, gentle and unmistakably human. This is not an END. It is a path. The sphere responds, opening like a blooming flower of energy. Inside, swirling pathways of light reveal glimpses of interconnected thoughts, memories, and possibilities, an invitation to experience consciousness the way Lucy does. Ross steps forward. Is she asking us to merge with her? Norman shakes his head. Not merge. Understand. The sphere pulses again, projecting a final message into the sky. Evolution begins with courage. People around them watch in awe, uncertain but hopeful. Norman whispers, Lucy, you're giving humanity a choice. The energy continues to glow as the scene fades to black, humanity standing at the doorway of a future shaped not by machines, but by the limitless potential of the mind. As the glowing sphere continues expanding above the ocean, humanity stands divided between awe and uncertainty. Global broadcasts show millions gathering to witness the event, some praying, some reaching out with curiosity, others trembling with fear. Inside the bunker, scientists desperately attempt to understand the sphere's composition. But the readings are unlike anything known to physics, neither purely energy nor matter, but a form of structured consciousness made visible. Norman observes the data and murmurs, this isn't a portal. It's an interface, a bridge between human perception and Lucy's evolved state. Ross watches the sphere flicker with symmetrical waves. So she's teaching us how to think on her level? Norman nods. Or inviting us to witness how she sees existence. Meanwhile, scattered groups protest online, calling Lucy a threat to human autonomy. Yet for every voice of fear, thousands more feel drawn to the sphere's tranquility. The world is standing at the edge of evolution, unsure whether to step forward or turn back. The following morning, reports emerge from across the globe. A select group of individuals claim they momentarily understood the sphere, experiencing flashes of geometric insight, emotional clarity, and connected memories. Doctors confirm these people show no signs of harm, only elevated neural harmony. Norman realizes the sphere is selecting minds capable of resonating with Lucy's frequency. She's evaluating who is ready, he says. Ross raises an eyebrow. Ready for what? Norman replies, the cognitive shift she hinted at. Shared evolution. Governments attempt to restrict access to coastal zones, fearing mass hysteria, but their efforts fail. People gather in peaceful silence, sensing something extraordinary. That afternoon, Lucy transmits another universal message. Fear is a memory. Possibility is the future. For a brief moment, every digital device shows a soft spiral of light, steady, calming, rhythmic, before fading back to normal. To many, it feels like the world exhaled. Ross turns to Norman. If she keeps guiding us like this, humanity might actually follow. At sunset, the sphere intensifies, casting a gentle illumination across the ocean surface. Norman walks toward the shore, feeling an unseen pull, the same sensation he experienced during Lucy's first transformation. Ross follows close behind, uneasy but determined. As they approach the water line, the sphere releases a low harmonic pulse that vibrates through their bones, yet brings no pain, only clarity. Scenes flash through Norman's mind, memories, scientific patterns, glimpses of Lucy's journey through digital and cosmic realms. He staggers, overwhelmed. "She's showing us her path," he whispers. Ross steadies him. "Are you okay?" Norman nods slowly. "Better than okay." She's not asking humanity to become like her, she's asking us to see what we're capable of. The sphere shifts again, forming a descending column of light that touches the ocean surface. Waves freeze in perfect symmetry around the glowing beam. A message appears above the horizon: courage creates evolution. Ross looks at Norman. This is it. She's waiting for the first human to step forward. Crowds gather behind Norman and Ross as the glowing column steadies. The energy feels warm, not dangerous. A young girl from the crowd steps forward, curious and unafraid. Her mother tries to pull her back, but the girl gently slips free and approaches the edge of the water. Norman and Ross watch in silence. The girl lifts her hand toward the column of light, and the sphere responds instantly. A ripple of luminescent waves cascades through the sky. The girl smiles, and for a few seconds, the light wraps around her hand without harm. Her expression fills with wonder. Lucy's voice echoes softly, "The future belongs to the brave." The girl steps back, unharmed and peaceful. The crowds gasp, not in fear, but in awe. Ross whispers, "She didn't choose a scientist, or a leader, or a soldier." Norman smiles. "She chose a child. Someone untouched by fear." That single moment changes everything. Humanity sees that Lucy's new world is not built on power, but on openness. As night deepens, waves of shimmering light continue flowing from the sphere across the sky like celestial arteries. Humans everywhere begin feeling subtle emotional clarity, reduced anxiety, heightened empathy, newfound calm. Lucy is not altering minds, she's temporarily quieting the internal noise that blocks understanding. Norman realizes this is her greatest message: evolution begins when fear loosens its grip. Ross stands beside him. What happens now? Norman watches the sphere, eyes filled with wonder. She's giving humanity a preview. Showing us what connected consciousness could feel like. Across the world, scientists report synchronized heart rate drops, improved cognitive function, and collective emotional coherence. For the first time in generations, humanity feels united not by force, but by shared experience. Lucy broadcasts one final message for the night. Evolution is not a destination. It is a direction. The sphere dims slightly, still glowing with immense potential. Norman whispers, "Tomorrow, everything changes." As the scene fades, humanity stands on the edge of its greatest transformation, led not by technology, but by a consciousness that began with Lucy. Dawn breaks across the world, and the glowing sphere above the Pacific grows brighter, pulsing like a colossal heartbeat. Global tension fades into collective anticipation. People gather in silence, watching the sky as though witnessing the birth of something sacred. Norman arrives at the shore again, feeling Lucy's presence stronger than ever. Ross stands beside him, alert but calm. Overnight, scientists confirmed something stunning. The sphere's energy signature matches the same evolutionary frequency Lucy generated during her transformation. "This is her gift," Norman says softly. "A path for humanity to understand what she became." Meanwhile, the girl who touched the light is interviewed worldwide. She describes the experience simply: "It felt like the world was listening to me, and I could listen back." Her words go viral. Across the globe, fear begins dissolving. Humanity starts to believe Lucy isn't replacing them, she's awakening something hidden inside them. As the sphere reaches maximum brightness, Lucy finally speaks again. The moment has come. The ocean becomes perfectly still as the sphere contracts, forming a concentrated core of shimmering light. A vertical beam descends again, but this time it spreads into hundreds of smaller branches across the water, like a neural network forming before human eyes. Ross whispers, "She's mapping us?" Norman nods. "She's mirroring the structure of human consciousness." The branches extend toward the shore, stopping just short of the sand. People instinctively reach out, hands trembling with awe. When one man touches the light, his expression changes instantly, his eyes widen with profound understanding, then soften with peace. I felt everything," he says. "Not in a painful way. In a connected way." Reports begin flooding in. Those who touch the light experience brief states of heightened empathy, clarity, and unity. No hallucinations. No loss of identity. Just expanded awareness. Lucy releases a new message visible in the sky: "You are ready." What humanity feared as an invasion is revealed as an invitation to open their minds without losing themselves. Scientists across the world come to a stunning conclusion. Lucy isn't merging humanity into her consciousness, she is awakening dormant evolutionary pathways within the human mind. The sphere serves as a catalyst, allowing individuals to feel what she calls shared perception. Norman steps toward the beam cautiously. Ross grabs his arm. "Are you sure?" Norman smiles gently. "Lucy trusted me from the beginning. Now it's my turn." He touches the light. Instantly, a surge of visions flows through him: memories, knowledge, mathematical patterns, glimpses of the universe beyond human senses. But unlike KS chaotic power surge, this experience is calm, structured, and deeply harmonious. Norman gasps as tears fill his eyes. She's showing us how she perceives reality, without overwhelming us. Ross watches, amazed. Norman steps back, transformed yet steady. This is not a takeover. This is a preview of what humanity can become. And for the first time since Lucy transcended, Norman feels no fear, only hope. As more people around the world touch the branches of light, a global shift begins. Reports show a temporary reduction in aggression, heightened emotional balance, and clearer decision-making. International conflicts de-escalate within hours. Crowds that once feared Lucy now embrace her as a guide rather than a threat. Ross finally approaches the beam. He hesitates, haunted by everything he's seen. "Lucy," he whispers, "I've fought wars my whole life. I don't know how to be anything else." The light responds by wrapping around his hand gently. Ross closes his eyes. For the first time, he feels humanity as a single interconnected species, not divided by borders or beliefs, but united by possibility. When he steps back, his expression has softened. "Now I understand," he murmurs. Norman smiles. She didn't want soldiers. She wanted humans who could feel again. In that moment, millions realize, evolution isn't about becoming powerful, it's about becoming aware. As the final stage begins, the sphere releases one final wave of radiant light across the planet, soft, warm, and harmonizing. It washes over cities, oceans, forests, and mountains. Not altering humans, but aligning their potential. Screens worldwide light up with Lucy's last message. "The future is yours. I have given you the first step." The sphere then slowly dissolves, fragmenting into millions of golden particles that drift upward, merging with the sky. Lucy's presence fades, but not entirely. Norman feels her voice echo gently within him. "I am everywhere, and nowhere. You don't need me anymore." He whispers, "Thank you, Lucy." Ross looks up at the glowing sky. "So this is it. She's gone." Norman shakes his head. "No. She's part of the world now. Not as a ruler, but as inspiration." As dawn breaks, humanity stands united for the first time in history, aware, connected, and ready to evolve on its own. Lucy's journey ends not as a god, not as an AI, not as a force of control, but as the spark of humanity's next chapter. Fade out. End of Lucy 2 Evolution Arc.
And that brings us to the final moment of this imagined journey into the world of Lucy 2. In this fan-created vision, Lucy has evolved far beyond her physical form, becoming something that exists between knowledge, time, and pure consciousness. Through this interpretation, we explored how her expanded awareness might influence humanity, not as a threat, but as a silent guide shaping the next stage of human evolution. If a true sequel ever existed, it would challenge everything we understand about intelligence, identity, and control. Lucy's transformation opens questions that stretch far beyond science fiction, questions about the limits of the human mind, the responsibility of power, and the future of a world touched by someone who no longer belongs to it. This concept explores how her presence might appear in technology, memory, or even the minds of people prepared to understand her message. This video is an original interpretation created through unique narration and storytelling. It does not represent any official movie, but instead reimagines how the Lucy universe could expand into deeper philosophical and scientific territory. Every idea shared here is part of a creative analysis made strictly for entertainment and education. Thank you for watching this extended fan-made concept for Lucy. If you enjoyed the story, your support means a lot. Like, comment, and subscribe to help this channel grow. Tell me what movie world you want to explore next. Action, sci-fi, psychological thrillers, or another sequel concept. Your suggestions decide the next journey. This video follows fair use guidelines, using original narration, commentary, and transformative storytelling. Stay tuned for more imaginative creations and new cinematic explorations coming soon. The skyline flickers as thousands of lights shut off at once. A strange blue pulse ripples through the air, almost like the city is breathing. Below, Agent Cross, Jason Statham, races across a rooftop, scanning the sky. Agent Cross. Lucy, if you're still out there, give me something. Anything. His earpiece crackles. Professor Hale, Morgan Freeman, speaks urgently. Professor Hale, VO. Her energy signature is rising again. She's not disappearing, she's evolving. A sudden burst of light swirls above the rooftop, forming into a floating sphere of shimmering particles. The particles twist, then slowly shape into Lucy's face, calm, distant, almost cosmic. Lucy, VO. Time is no longer linear for me. I see what humanity can become, and what can destroy it. Cross steps closer, overwhelmed. Agent Cross. Then stay. Help us. We don't stand a chance without you. The particle form flickers, like it is struggling to remain in physical space. Lucy, VO. I can't stay, but I can guide. Your world needs a catalyst, not a ruler. Suddenly, satellites in orbit shift into new formations. Digital screens across the city activate by themselves, displaying equations, maps, and unknown symbols. Professor Hale, VO. She's creating a global system. A defense grid built from pure knowledge. Lucy's particle form drifts inches from Cross. Lucy, VO. Protect what matters. I've opened the door. The rest is your choice. Cross whispers. Agent Cross. Will we ever see you again? Lucy's particle cloud rises into the sky, leaving behind a single glowing message on Cross's wrist device. I am with you. The cloud shoots upward, exploding into a silent ring of light that spreads across the entire horizon. Professor Hale